guys, it's Nightrees, and today I'm going to be telling you a few tips on how to be a better Piggy player and Piggy killer. So let's start off with the player or survivor. So this mainly counts on Book 2 due to its extreme lag on certain devices, but you need to have low graphics because I know the high graphics looks a lot better, but the low graphics is way less laggier. And I had the same problem on some maps in Book 2 mainly, but sometimes it happens on Book 1. And it makes the game smoother and harder for Piggy to catch you, because if you're lagging, Piggy could pretty easily catch you because you'll look like you're just standing there waiting for Piggy to kill you on their screen. So then we have a tip 2 for survivors: blueprints and skills. Now, Many2 made a recent update, not that recent, but recent, where there are now player skills, and player skills help you a lot. Because it helps, because the sprint helps you go faster when Piggy's near you, which you already are faster, but you get the idea. And there are just a lot of blueprints which make the game easier for the survivor, you, and harder for Piggy to catch you. Or just easier to find keys and escape, like the magnifying glass and the team magnifying glass. Now, there are some skills that I wouldn't recommend using, like the team energy boost, because some people don't use their skills, so the team energy boost doesn't do anything to them, and it just makes you lose 8 energy because it does nothing. So on to the third tip, memorization. Now this one is more complicated, but if you play a map once or twice or a lot of times, you start to memorize it. So I would recommend memorizing the maps and where the keys go and where the keys spawn, but that's more advanced. I mean, I can't even do that sometimes at times. But when you memorize it, it's easier to find where the keys go, and it just makes the round go by faster, a lot faster. And tip number 4. This one is pretty simple, and yeah, so just close doors. People don't realize how much closing doors helps, especially on bot mode, because if Piggy's chasing you as a bot and you close the door, they get pretty much stunned for, I think it's a second, which helps a lot for the player, because then they can easily escape Piggy, especially on house where there are a lot of doors downstairs mainly, and it helps a lot. So that is all the tips I have for the player. On to the killer, or the Piggy. Yeah, it's called Piggy in this game. Anyways, number 1, everybody knows this: use traps. It's pretty self-explanatory, but there are some traps that are good and some traps that are not, and some that are pretty much only useful when you're near the player. So let's start off with the slow trap. The slow trap is a trap that's very, very useful, but only if the player is close to you, because then it makes the player a lot slower than the Piggy, making it super easy and simple for the Piggy to kill the player. But this has no use when the Piggy isn't near the player. And yeah, so I personally wouldn't recommend using slow traps, because usually the player wouldn't be near you whenever you use the trap or place it down. And then there's a black hole trap, which is kind of like the big trap, only sometimes it could slow the player down a little bit when it's in its reach. So I use the black hole trap. It is actually my favorite trap. Maybe even better than the curling trap, which I'll go into later. Because it's the same size as the small trap, except it sucks the players near. So like, if there's a player just vent camping in a small vent, you could just place down a black hole trap and then they'll go right to you. But the only downside about the black hole trap is that players could easily escape it if they just jump, which most players know this already. But I still personally would recommend using the black hole trap because it is very, very powerful. And now, let's go on to the crawling trap. The crawling trap, it's a good trap, except it can get a little buggy at times. Because sometimes you'll see it just running up to a wall and doing nothing. And at other times, it just can't go upstairs. And at the plank, the sections, or the rooms, there's a little bump which the crawl trap can't go over. So, the crawl trap is optional. I use it, but I don't use it as much as I use my other traps. But that's why I recommend using the black hole trap. And then there's the default trap that, yeah. So the traps I wouldn't recommend using are the small trap, because it's pretty much the black hole trap, only bad, and the default trap if you are not a starter player. The slow trap, crawl trap is optional, and I don't think the alarm trap is needed. It's kind of like the big trap, except it just puts an alarm. So if you're in a debate whether or not to use the big trap or to use the alarm trap, I would use the alarm trap, not the big trap, because it's just the same size and it puts an alarm. I don't know if it has a better or worse cooldown, but I don't know. Still, when the alarm trap puts the alarm over the player's head, usually you're not there in time to catch the player. Still, I think it stays there for a little while longer. So it helps a little more than the big trap does, but I don't use it. Anyways, yes, that is it for the traps. That was a long tip. Okay, on to tip 2 for the killer. Skins with low background music. This is optional because this is mainly just for the Mr. P skin. It has no background music, making players not be able to know when the Piggy is near you. Still, players usually don't care about the music that's near them or the Piggy, but sometimes it happens. So, but the Mr. P, I think, may soon fix this, but sometimes that skin just glitches off the map on planes. But yes, okay, on to tip number 3. Sneak attack players. This is pretty much this is the main way I get to kill players on any map in Piggy. If there's a corner and a player's going there, you could just stand on the other side, and then once the player's near, just sneak attack them. This also works on trader mode. And yes, it helps a lot. The players have no idea that you're there, and it's almost certain that you're going to get a kill. I mean, I don't think I've ever missed a kill doing that. And tip number 4, most people do this, but it doesn't help at all. Don't follow players. Players are faster than you. Not by much, but they are faster than you. Making following players useless. It doesn't help at all. because they'll just get away from you or sprint away, and just don't follow them. It makes no sense. Just sneak attack them if anything. And number 5, this is kind of like the last one on the players' tips, but close doors on players, because sometimes it takes players a little while to open doors at times. Still, you get a little closer to them even if they don't take a long time. So it helps. So yes, and that is it for this video. I hope this helped you out. And yeah, so if you use all these tips, you'll probably see your Piggy tokens rising up. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please subscribe if you have not already, and I'll see you in the next video.